Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our entitled parents. In today's episode, I don't care if your daughter is disabled. My child is too sleepy to walk. Friend's mom crashes my party. My entitled mother borrowed $11,000 from me and now won't return it since she raised me. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I don't care if your daughter is disabled. My child is too sleepy to walk. Backstory: my daughter is disabled. She has nonverbal autism and TBI, traumatic brain injury, which means she looks relatively normal, but she is profoundly disabled. I rarely take her out into public alone because she is so hard to manage, especially now that she is almost 9. Not only will she not stay with me, she will bolt like a greyhound, scream, rip things open, steal toys from babies, and otherwise be an impossible nuisance. For this reason, I almost always order what I need for delivery, including groceries. However, life is unpredictable sometimes, and I every so often have to brave a trip to the grocery store. A few years ago, the God smiled down on me when the local grocery store I prefer started using the Caroline cart. If you don't know what that is, it's a special cart with a large seat for disabled children who are too big for the toddler seat. They park it with the scooters and wheelchairs with a big blue handicap marker on it so that parents don't mistakenly use it for their older, able-bodied children, but admittedly, this doesn't seem to stop them. I see people using it all the time, like one of the carts with a toy car attached for their kids to drive while they shop. This particular day a few weeks ago, the snow was so heavy and intense that not only was school canceled, but so was my grocery delivery. I would have to go to the store with my daughter. As usual, I walked in praying that the Caroline cart would be available, and thank goodness it was. Strapping my daughter into the seat, it has a 5-point harness. I started shopping. As usual, my first stop was the bakery to get a free cookie. They always hand them out to kids. I noticed right away that there were a lot of other kids there that day, and assumed that many parents were like me, saddled with their kids during the snow day and unable to get grocery delivery. The bakery was hopping, and there were a number of parents and kids waiting for a new batch of cookies to be ready. One of the mothers seemed particularly harried, and I cannot say I blamed her. Her daughter, around age 5, was having a meltdown. She was angry, crying, shouting, demanding a cookie. They aren't ready yet, honey. We just have to wait. Noticing the glances of everyone around her, she looked defensive but apologized, saying, "I'm sorry. She's very tired. It's past her nap time." No one said anything. We were all parents, we understood. My daughter did not like the noise, and as she often does when she is irritated, she was stimmying, that is, flapping her hands or pushing a fist into her ear over and over. I got out her Minnie Mouse phone and handed it to her, and she calmed down and started playing with it. Looking over, the EM saw us and looked inexplicably relieved.
Hát thằng Gundance.
That cart wasn't there when we came in. Do you mind if I use it? EK is exhausted. Me, oh, I'm sorry, but my daughter actually needs it. She's disabled. The EM blinked and looked at my daughter playing quietly with her toy. She doesn't look disabled. What's wrong with her? Can she walk? I was flabbergasted at how insanely rude that was. Me, yes, she can walk, but she would run off in a hot second. I can't hang on to her and shop at the same time. EM, so you're using the disabled cart because your daughter doesn't listen to you? Look, she's much older than my little girl and she seems fine. We really need the cart. She started coming over, and I protectively pulled the cart closer to me. Me, no, she has autism. EM, everyone has autism. That's not a real disability. I was pretty pissed at this point. Me, the cart is for disabled children, like you just said, not sleepy children. Why don't you use a car cart? Her. There aren't any car carts. Besides, I can't see her in that. Just let me use the cart. The shouting upset my daughter again, and she started doing the thing where she punches her ear over and over. It was the first time she looked abnormal, and the woman looked visibly distraught and sort of grossed out. By now, other people were paying more attention, and this wonderful older woman said, Ma'am, autism can be a very severe disability. Look, you're upsetting the little girl, and the cart is for disabled children. You need to stop now. I mouthed the silent thank you to the older woman, wishing I could go hug her because that was some Wonder Woman level intervention to speak up that way, but my daughter was upset, so I decided to skip the cookie and just leave. So I turned the cart around and walked off. No one stopped me, but the same older woman who had stood up for me saw us waiting in line and insisted I go in front of her so I could get home. I was so grateful. My little girl was at that point possessively clutching the string to a helium balloon I was intending to buy, but I was debating how to get it away from her so it could be scanned without making her flip out, because you can't just take stuff from her. The kind old lady saw my struggle and reached out to tear the scan code sticker off the string and put it with her purchases. I've got it. She winked at me and my little girl and said, I think you could use a little extra kindness today. Me? Oh no. It's an $8 balloon, really.
I insist.
I thanked her profusely and left with tears in my eyes, touched. I love it when people try to make my day a little easier. Edit. For those commenting on the price of the balloon, yes, $8 is very high for a balloon, but they go as high as $12 at that store depending on the size and shape. It was a large balloon in the shape of a teddy bear. My daughter loves balloons, and I usually get them from the dollar store, but we weren't at the dollar store, so it was a splurge, mostly because of the EM upsetting her and skipping the cookie. For those saying the EM wasn't that bad, yes, she was. She had no right to rudely demand to know what my daughter's disability was, let alone cut me off before I could finish answering her, and she said autism isn't a real disability. Furthermore, she wanted a cart she knew was for disabled children for her daughter because her daughter was sleepy. Not every EM story results in attacks and arrests, thank goodness. Thank you to those showing your support, I really appreciate it. That's awesome. Women bystander was kind enough to help buy your daughter a balloon. Let's hope you have more encounters with other people like W again. Hope your daughter is doing good. Thank you. I often run into really great, understanding people. I just wish I ran into them as often as I run into people like the EM in this story. Daughter is doing very well. She's happy and healthy. Friend's mom crashes my party. I'm not sure whether this is classified as entitlement or just plain weird. Please feel free to criticize. To give a little background, I have a large space in my house that's kind of purpose-built for having parties. And as I have just finished high school, I have been having them often. My friend is a girl who comes out regularly but doesn't have the most experience with alcohol. Her parents are very strict and her friend group only recently started drinking. Cast. Me. Entitledparents I. My friend. I don't know whether to use F or her name so. This happened on a Friday night. All was going smoothly, nobody was misbehaving, and there was barely any noise as my sound system was broken, and we were using a small speaker for music. My neighbors are all middle-aged and very relaxed and had never complained, as some of them also regularly have parties. There were around 20+ people attending. I don't think this is much, but people often have a different opinion. F had arrived a little late at around 9:30 and apologized profusely, saying she had to finish her chores before she was allowed to come out. I didn't mind. I understood. At around 10 p.m. F got a text from her EM. It was in French. They moved from France 4 years ago. And she wouldn't tell us exactly what it said, but it seemed clear that either EM was awful at typing or was very drunk. Staggered sentences, terrible punctuation, weird capitalizations, etc. We tried to get her to just ignore it if she wouldn't tell us what it said. Things got going again, and for a while, all was good until F's phone started ringing. It wasn't on her as she was wearing a dress, and she didn't get to it in time to answer, so she had to call back. It was her EM, who picked up after a strangely long time considering she had just called. I could hear her screaming in French from the other side of the room. F was immediately upset and looked extremely embarrassed, so I hurried over and ushered her out the room. Her EM kept screaming down the line, but of course I had no idea what she was saying. F was all out crying, and I asked if I could speak to her EM to calm her down, explain where she was, all is okay, etc. That was a mistake. As soon as she heard my voice, she was silent. Me, hi, I'm winky face. F is safe, she's at my house. Her friends are here. I'm the host. I heard nothing for quite a while, just this weird heavy breathing. EM hung up without saying anything. I thought that was weird, but she must have been appeased and my friend, and I went back inside to get back to the party. F told me that her mother was angry that she hadn't finished a chore. She later specified that she hadn't vacuumed a closet, which is a pretty weird thing to be angry about. Everything seemed fine. F's mood really picked up and she was having a really good time. Her phone was silent. I was being a gracious host, checking everyone was having fun, doing the rounds, until I got to my front door, in which an absolutely furious woman whom I had never met stood looking like a serial killer. For reference, I'm a teenage male. I'm tall and well-built, and while I'm not particularly threatening, I am not the type to be threatened. I have never been so intimidated in my life. She stood there in the doorway just staring at me. Me? Can I help you? You know that way when something so strange happens that you just don't know how to react? Me? Are you looking for another house? By this time, people had noticed the random woman standing in my doorway doing nothing, and they quickly turned the music off and came to see what was up. I think a few may have assumed she was my mother and had walked in on an unapproved party. EM, in a slurred voice, where is F? Me, oh, you must be her mother? We spoke on the phone? This is my house. EM, I'm going to call the police. Get out now. There were like crickets. Obviously nobody moved. F stepped forward toward EM, but she seemed quite timid. Me, I think you should leave. This is my house. You've just walked in. EM spoke in French and F's face just dropped, like her jaw was on the floor, and she turned and translated, because her mother was acting like an alien. F, she says you need to get out right now, or she is calling the police on you for burglary house. Me, this is my house? At this point, people were really unnerved and had started getting ready to leave just in case. EM made a really jerky motion and latched onto my door frame. She coughed loads. F went to her and helped her stand up straight. EM, you are coming with me to the police station. She said it in this stone-cold voice. She was scary. Alas, I moved round her quickly and opened the door. Me, get out right now, please. I then noticed that there was a black SUV literally centimeters from my mother's car. Me, did you drive? EM, who hadn't even turned round yet, just like lolled her head to the side and said something which I think was a swear in French. I had no idea what to do. She wasn't moving, and I could not let her get in her car for many reasons, especially not with my friend in it. F, I'm gonna call my dad, She glanced around for her phone cause she was still supporting her EM. Someone handed it to her. About 20 minutes later, during which EM did not move an inch, F's dad arrived. He seemed sober to me but was really rude. He didn't say anything, walked in, guided EM out the door. EM wasn't done though, as she turned round to say something but just threw up instead. I wish I could say it was dramatic, but it just kinda seeped out and went all down herself. It was so disgusting. F's dad started moving pretty quickly after that. Overall, weirdest experience ever. The party ended pretty soon after that, and F stayed at a friend's house rather than going home. She told me that when she went home the next day, her parents acted like nothing had happened. She says it's all okay. I hope her mother gets help. I have no words for how stupid your friend's mom is. This classifies as a genuine alcoholic mother, not necessarily as an entitlement. Alcohol can do many things to your brain and can cause idiocy in some cases. I guess so. It just kinda ticked me off how she felt so entitled to her daughter, treating her like she isn't an independent human. And also the bitch just walked into my house. My entitled mother borrowed $11,000 from me and now won't return it since she raised me. So, I used to live with my mom and dad who adopted me at birth. My dad always said I would inherit our family home after they both passed away. Well, my father passed away unexpectedly in 2021, and we had been struggling to keep up with bills since then. I got in a car accident in late 2022 and ended up getting a settlement check for it in June 2023. I loaned my mom a total of $11,000 for repairs to the house and bills to catch up on. I told her if we ended up selling the house and moving out together, she could keep majority of the money since we'd be living together. But I never agreed to let her keep it if we moved out separately since I would need the income. Since that conversation, I moved in with my boyfriend and she was staying at the house. She ended up having a stroke in October of 2023 and sold the house I was supposed to inherit and moved in with her new fiancé. She's given me $4,000 back since then. Plus her fiancé paid for a couple of car maintenance and repairs, so I've also deducted that from the money she's owed me. However, she refuses to pay me back the last $5,900 as she feels like I owe her this since she raised me. I desperately need that money since I've gone back to school, and I need to quit my job to focus on my studies and my health. I only have 4 months until I'm done with my classes and I can get my new job in my career. She was the one that chose to adopt me. I didn't ask for it. I don't owe her anything for raising me. That's her job as a mother. She also always tells me about how she has money and she's going to use it how she wants to buy a new car and how she went to Cancun for vacation and went gambling in Vegas. I honestly don't know what to do. How do I ask for the rest of my money? How do I leave on good terms with her if that's possible? What should be my next step? Also, I don't have any sort of paper trail. That's my other issue. All was verbal communication. When it comes to money and lending it, don't trust anyone. I don't think there's anything you can do, but learn from this lesson. Simply never lend money. If you want to help, give them a gift. Let the banks do the lending. Also, think about it this way. If even the banks won't give them a loan, it means the bank don't expect them to pay it back. Why would you think you can make them pay it back? If you have any proof that it's a loan, take her to small claims court. You might not get the full amount, but you won't need a lawyer. And the well I raised her won't work in her defense. And most judges would call that defense out for the BS that it is. Yeah, any judge would tear her a new one for that "I raised you" defense. But there is no way to get your money back and continue a relationship with her. It's her or the money. This one is painfully easy. Determine in your mind when a reasonable time to get paid back is. Tell your mother that date and tell her if she hasn't paid you back by then, you are going no contact until she does. If she doesn't square off, cut off contact and move on with your life. If she's willing to ruin your relationship over money, let her. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. My advice is, unless you have proof that will hold up in court, you need to accept that she's never going to pay you back. I understand that she genuinely owes it to you, but continuing this fight won't make her do the right thing and will only feed your stress. Just the fact that she can say you owe her because she raised you tells me all I need to know about her. You owe her nothing for doing what a parent is supposed to do. You might be able to get proof if you text her about it, though. If you text her that she still owes you $8,000 and she texts back the correct amount. Since she paid some of the money back, that indicates it was not a gift. Take her to small claims court. Good to know. I'll keep that in mind. Take her to small claims court and let her try to use the "I raised you, so you owe me" BS. Start messaging her about paying you back and see if she'll text you anything you can use in court against her. then go no contact. Take this as a lesson that lending money to friends or family is always a gift to them unless they pay it back or you have a legal contract. Never expect to get money back that you've lent, even $5. Sucks that she took advantage of you. Also, the idea that kids owe their parents for raising them is asinine. They chose that, not the kids. That's like buying a house and then telling the bank that they owe you because you've been watching the house for them. You're probably not going to receive the money back. I'm sure there will come a time that she has to ask for money again, and you are free to tell her that since you didn't receive your money back the first time, you are unable to lend her money now. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.